Every year on March 2nd, National Read Across America Day, or Dr. Seuss Day, is celebrated by young children. Teachers will dress up with a red and white striped cat in the hat and a bow tie as their students devour green eggs and ham. They'll read one of Dr. Seuss's many famous books and have an absolute blast. The issue? Oh, well, Dr. Seuss sucks. Theodore Geisel was born on March 2nd, 1904. He died at the age of 87 in 1991. Throughout his life, he authored and illustrated over 60 books. Fun fact, he never actually was a doctor, but was a graduate student looking to get his PhD in English. His pen name, Dr. Seuss, was born when he was caught drinking gin during the alcohol prohibition laws, and he was told to step down from all extracurriculars. To continue his job working at the school magazine, he began signing his work with the pen name Seuss. After leaving college, World War II began and Seuss began making political cartoons. Published in the newspaper PM, one of his most controversial cartoons was a caricature of a Japanese man next to Hitler. The caption reads, "What have you done today to help save your country from them?" As you can see, Seuss drew the Japanese man to have a pig snout, Hitler mustache, squinted eyes, and buck teeth. This Japanese man is also next to Hitler because the American people now despised Hitler. Basically, Seuss was using the hatred of Hitler as a fuel to transfer the hatred to the Japanese people. Depictions like these caused Japanese people to no longer be seen as individuals, but a collective group of enemies. Seuss was promoting the dehumanization of the Japanese people, which deeply affected Japanese Americans as well. This attitude also led to internment camps to be used and accepted by Americans, despite having just recently learned of the inhumane concentration camps the Nazi regime had used. Those camps opened throughout the United States the same year Seuss's cartoon was released. Another infamous political cartoon from him suggested that Japanese Americans were a threat to the US after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Titled "Waiting for the Signal from Home," the cartoon depicts countless characters with the same slanted eyes and glasses, obviously meant to be Japanese Americans, marching along the West Coast and waiting to pick up TNT from a store labeled Honorable Fifth Column. The Fifth Column refers to a group of traitors that are trying to undermine the country system from the inside. This cartoon was published on February 13th, 1942, just 6 days before President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066, which led to the incarceration of more than 110,000 individuals of Japanese descent. One ad Dr. Seuss drew for an insecticide featured a disgusted white woman saying to a black man, "You hold a job worthless? Say N-word when you all hold a job a week. Mosquitoes will brush their teeth with flit and like it." I have read that multiple times now and don't understand what it's saying. But as you can see, the black people here are drawn to look like monkeys. You may also remember in March of 2021, it was decided that 6 of his children's books would stop being published due to racist stereotypes and offensive content within them. I know conservatives were very upset to hear about this author being canceled, but honestly, I have never heard of these books before. And to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. If I Ran the Zoo, McElligot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Super, and The Cat's Quizzler. Yeah, those do not ring a bell at all. If I Ran the Zoo includes stereotype caricatures of African people and references helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant in describing Asian people. The book, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, also shows Asian stereotypes. One page included the caption, "A Chinese boy who eats with sticks," and shows a person with a bowl of rice, a conical hat, and slanted eyes. Published in 1937, this was Dr. Seuss's first published children's book. The Cat's Quizzler is the newest book by Dr. Seuss to face criticism for racist images. Published in 1976, the book had a character of Japanese heritage that has a bright yellow face standing on Mount Fuji and is referred to as a Japanese. It seems the National Education Association, or NEA, also wants to move away from celebrating Dr. Seuss for the Read Across America Day, despite the day purposefully being his birthday. When the press secretary was asked why Dr. Seuss's name wasn't mentioned in President Joe Biden's 2021 proclamation for Read Across America Day, she responded, "It is important that children of all backgrounds see themselves in the children's books that they read." Some have argued that this is book banning. As someone strongly opposed to book bans, I heavily disagree. These books still exist and can likely be found in libraries all around the world. They're just not being made anymore. It is undeniable that Dr. Seuss's books are full of stereotypes and depictions that make people of color seem to be separate beings from white people. In a 2019 analysis of 50 children's books by Dr. Seuss, researchers found that all of the characters of color reinforced Orientalism and anti-Blackness and were only presented in subservient, exotified, or dehumanized roles. They also found that only 2% of his characters are non-white. As the press secretary said, children of all backgrounds should see themselves in the books they read. So for Seuss to be such a well-known author for first-time readers, it's incredibly disappointing, and maybe it's time we move on to other books. I also hope, though it's unlikely, that these books never led students of color to internalize their negative messages. Here are some other examples of his racist depictions. It's also been speculated that The Cat in the Hat was based on blackface performance, racist images in popular culture, and actual black people. The cat's appearance was inspired by Annie Williams, a black woman who was an elevator operator at Seuss's office. Her appearance inspired the look of the cat, which included white gloves, a sly smile, and her color. I already know someone in the comments is going to argue that he was born in 1904, so we can't put him under modern-day scrutiny of how we view inclusion and racism. But I say no to that. As a German, Seuss and his sister experienced anti-German prejudice from other children following the war. He understood the effects and pain of viewing a group of people as wholly good or bad. Yet he did the same to other groups. His work as a political cartoonist was intended to be racist and derogatory. He agreed to doing that work and created the propaganda. He also was, arguably for the time, a liberal. He drew cartoons denouncing Jim Crow laws, the policies of Nazi Germany, and American isolationism, which advocated for the US to not be involved in European and Asian conflicts. Art Spiegelman even argues Dr. Seuss drew virtually the only editorial cartoons outside the communist and black press that decried the military's Jim Crow policies and Charles Lindbergh's anti-Semitism. All that to say, Dr. Seuss valued human life and human beings, but not enough to stop himself from gaining profit off of horrible depictions of people of color. Ted Owens, a great-nephew of Seuss, claims he thinks Dr. Seuss would have found all the criticisms legitimate. Owens said, "Characterizations were done, and he was a cartoonist, and he tended to adopt those. And I know later in his life, he was not proud of those at all." It is also theorized that Seuss's book, Horton Hears a Who, was an apology for his anti-Japanese cartoons. The 1954 book is a parable about post-war relations between the US, Japan, and the Soviet Union, promoting equal treatment with the line, "A person is a person no matter how small." So Dr. Seuss eventually expanded his thinking, and thankfully his publishing company continues to keep his work in check. Throughout his career, Dr. Seuss created hundreds of disgusting and racist cartoons, but he did some good too, and may have even corrected some mistakes, though not explicitly. So what do you think? Should kids still be reading his books today? Does the success of iconic stories like The Lorax outweigh the despicable cartoons he once drew? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!